Hi, my name is Zach Simmons, and this is Pro Football Today. So, in this show, we take a look at new developments that are going on in the NFL and we analyze them. So, this week, I want to talk about the biggest news that's been circling around my favorite team, the Chicago Bears. So, Jordan Howard trade to the Eagles. So, for some background, what happened Thursday night, the Bears traded their starting running back, Jordan Howard, to the Philadelphia Eagles for a sixth round pick that has the potential of turning into a fifth round pick for next season. So we're going to take a look, kind of like what we did with the Antonio Brown trade and the Odell Beckham trade, is look at how did the Bears do in this trade, how did the Eagles do in this trade, and how did Jordan Howard do in this trade. So let's take a look at the Bears first. So the first day of free agency, Bears picked up Mike Davis. A lot of people thought that he wasn't going to be the replacement for Jordan Howard, but the replacement for the third down back, Jaquan Mizell. Now it's starting to look like he might be the starter. So now the Bears are actually in a decent position. Mike Davis is a good back. He did start for the Seattle Seahawks for a few games. He's a decent back, and he fits Matt Nagy's system. Jordan Howard, on the other hand, it took Nagy about 10 games to figure out how to use Jordan Howard. So it makes a lot of sense if you feel confident in your coach, which obviously the Bears do. Nagy's the first coach since Lovie Smith to bring them to the playoffs. So obviously they will listen to Nagy. They will try to make sure the team fits Nagy's scheme. And Jordan Howard just didn't fit it. He can go. They try to make him more of a power back, and that's not who Howard is. Howard is your standard running back who can go in between the guard and the tackle or off the tackle. He cannot go in between the guards. He just can't. That's not his style. And that's what Nagy tried to do with him, and it just didn't work. After about 10 games, Nagy started to realize, okay, we can probably use him the same way we use Cohen, and it worked fine. But when your coach is trying to go through all these hoops, trying to get your starting running back, trying to find a scheme that can work with the starting running back, it seems to be a little bit easier to get rid of that back, and that's what the Bears did. So it's a good move by the Bears to get rid of Jordan Howard. Yes, it's only a sixth round pick. However, when you look at the market, that's what they got for him. That was the best pick they possibly could. And Pace is really good when it comes to trades, so I trust that this was the best trade that Ryan Pace could get. The fact that it can turn into a fifth round pick should say a lot. So the Bears seem to be in a pretty good position. They have Mike Davis. He can be the starter if they don't end up getting anyone else. They also have a good spot when it comes to the draft. Remember that Pace knows how to draft in mid-draft. He got Howard in the fifth round. He got Cohen in the fourth round. He knows what he's doing when it comes to running backs. They've been scouting a bunch of running backs. We have a bunch of picks next year, 10 picks for 2020. We can trade a couple of those picks and move up in the draft to the second round to grab a running back. So the Bears are actually in a really good position. Yes, we lose Howard. A lot of the fans love Howard, I know. But trust me, it's the best thing for the Bears. Now we go to the Eagles. The Eagles seem a little bit more desperate than the Bears did. Yes, the Bears are trying to get rid of Howard, but the Eagles really, really wanted a running back, but not Jordan Howard. Their top back was actually Tevin Coleman. So the fact that they reached to grab Howard says that they're desperate. But what they might be looking for is not necessarily a lead back, but a committee back that can go alongside Josh Adams. I think that's what they got out of Jordan Howard. I think Howard's a good starter, but I think a lot of teams are going to see him more as a committee back. And I think that's what we see here in Philadelphia. So they weren't able to pay Tevin Coleman as much as he wanted, so now they're stuck with Howard. And Howard, I think, Howard's a good back. He should be fine, but once again, he doesn't fit the scheme for the Eagles. The Eagles haven't had a running back like him. He hasn't really meshed with what they try to get J.J. to do. If anything, he kind of meshes with how LeGarrette Blount is, but at the same time, Blount is a power back. Howard is not a power back. So they could be seeing Howard and saying, hey, that's the same role we used for LeGarrette Blount. It's not. He's not. He's just a slower Josh Adams. Josh Adams did a very good job last year going off the guard, going off the tackle. That's what Howard does. He's just not as fast. He's built like a power back, but yet he's not a power back, and that's what a lot of these teams need to figure out, especially the Eagles now. So my guess is that Jordan Howard will not be the starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. I would not be surprised if Josh Adams will be the starter, saying that he got close to 500 yards when he was only the starter for about half the season, if that. So I would stick with Josh Adams. I just don't think they're going to use Jordan Howard properly. If you use Jordan Howard properly, then yes, you have a 1,000-yard back right there. But I'm not sure they will. I think they might treat him more like LeGarrette Blount. And if they do that, it's a huge mistake. And Peterson is going to find him in the exact same spot that Matt Nagy was in last season. So, not the greatest move for the Eagles. They needed a running back, but I don't think they really paid attention on who they got. I'm not really sure they did their homework. We'll find out more in August, but for the most part, I think they made a bad trade. I think they just tried to find a running back, didn't really see if he was going to fit the scheme or not, and wasted a 6th or maybe a 5th round pick. Now, is this a good trade for Jordan Howard? For the same fact that it's not that great of a trade for the Eagles, I don't think this is a good place for Jordan Howard. I would not be surprised if Howard's not the starter, but I would also not be surprised if they end up cutting Jordan Howard, saying that once again he doesn't fit the scheme. When you have guys like Adams, you have guys like Smallwood, Howard just doesn't fit in. Howard is one of those backs. He can be your starting running back, and you need to give him that kind of a role. But if you try to bring him to a power back role, it's just not going to work. So I wouldn't be surprised if Howard's going to be one of those names that's going to be thrown around the league for the next few seasons, which is sad. We've seen a lot of running backs go through the exact same thing. LeGarrette Blount went through the same thing. He was a decent running back in Tampa, goes to Pittsburgh, shows some flashes, but for the most part, I mean, he really wasn't. He was never the lead back there in Pittsburgh with Le'Veon Bell there. Goes to New England, shows what he can do. Goes to Philadelphia, does a decent job in Philadelphia. Goes to Detroit, gets benched for Kerryon Johnson. I think that's what you're going to kind of see with Jordan Howard. I think Howard needs to be with the right team. Patriots can definitely use a running back like him. That's usually the team that can use someone like him. I'm not sure they're in that exact position right now, but maybe in the future, Howard could end up getting a ring with the New England Patriots. But looking at what's going on with Howard, I think Howard's best case was staying in Chicago. Nagy figured out how to use him. I would have tried to use him, but sadly, that didn't happen. So Howard, we hope that everything works well, but I'm not so sure. I'm not sure the Eagles are the right fit. So, but we will see, and hopefully it all works out. But this has been Pro Football Today. If you have any comments or anything, please leave them below. I love taking a look at comments and stuff. So, even if you don't agree, I love seeing it. So, you guys have a good week. Thank you for viewing. Bye.